Hello, you're watching Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Rochelle Harrison-Pless. Good to have you with us. Coming up. Emergency workers in Kenya continue their desperate search for survivors after a deadly dam collapse. Dozens of people are still missing and thousands remain homeless. In more uplifting news, France 24 meets Burundian singer-songwriter Khadja Nin. The star is shining bright on the Croisette as a member of the jury for this year's Cannes Film Festival. Plus, haunting melodies that evoke pain and longing. We explore the traditional Cape Verdean sound known as Morna, music that could soon be honoured with UNESCO status. First up, dozens of people are still missing in Kenya after a dam burst its banks on Wednesday night. The raging floodwaters wiping out entire villages and leaving at least 47 people dead. The desperate search for survivors continues near the town of Solai, around 190 kilometres northwest of Nairobi. Emergency teams are working around the clock. This as Kenyan authorities launch an investigation amid allegations that the privately owned Patel Dam was illegal. Shirley Sitbon and Radaba Abbas report.
Debris is all that's left of homes smashed and buried by water and mud that flooded Nakuru County. Rescue teams tirelessly search for survivors.
We're suspecting that there are people inside this house. You can see when the tragedy happened, there were people inside here. You can see it was at night, so people were relaxing and all having supper.
The destruction occurred when this dam in one of the region's many farms burst after weeks of torrential rain. This unleashed what victims describe as a sea of water down the hillside. The Water Resources Management Authority says the dam was built without the required permits and was running without authorization. Residents say they tried to salvage what they could, but many have lost everything.
I'm just asking you to give me somewhere to shelter my children. Will the government help me? Just look at the water and my children. Where will I take them? I don't have a home.
Disaster experts arrived on the site to avert the risk of new dam collapses. Heavy rains have killed more than 150 people in Kenya this year alone. The flooding could worsen as new rains are expected in the region, which is located about 190 kilometres from the capital, Nairobi.
Preparing for the worst-case scenario, that from the World Health Organization amid a new outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's planning to send an experimental Ebola vaccine to the town of Bikoro in the country's northwest, where the latest epidemic was first reported. Health officials now scrambling to prevent it from spreading.
The problem here is that we already have 3 separate locations that are reporting cases that cover as much as 60 kilometres and maybe more. So we are very concerned and we are planning for all scenarios, including the worst case scenario.
Next, 3 people, including 2 British tourists, have been kidnapped in the Democratic Republic of Congo. A wildlife ranger was also killed when their convoy was ambushed in the Virunga National Park. The attack happened on Friday morning just north of Goma, the capital of North Kivu province, an area known for its endangered mountain gorillas, but also notorious for a spate of killings and kidnappings in recent years. To an update on a story we've been following for you now. On Friday, Congolese general and former presidential candidate Jean-Marie Michel Mokoko was sentenced to 20 years behind bars for undermining internal state security. The 71-year-old was accused of trying to stage a coup following the 2016 election, which he lost. After coming 3rd place in the vote, Mokoko and other candidates called for a campaign of civil disobedience. Mokoko now has 3 days to appeal his conviction. Piracy off the coast of Somalia has been a threat to international shipping for years. The problem grew so big, it even got the Hollywood treatment in a 2013 film starring Tom Hanks. Well, at its peak around 10 years ago, hundreds of boats were attacked and seized by Somali pirates looking for an easy way to make a buck by holding foreign crews hostage and demanding a ransom. Well, in the latest episode of France 24's Revisited, our correspondents Thais Brook and Duncan Woodside go back back to Puntland in northwestern Somalia, where they spoke to a former pirate.
Illegal fishing was one of the triggers for the piracy crisis that exploded off the coast here nearly a decade ago. Angry fishermen pooled resources and bought weapons to confront foreign trawlers holding crews hostage. And they quickly found they could make money, a lot of it. In 2008, Mohammed, nicknamed Warabe, joined what was by then a massive industry.
The reason I went out to sea was that I had seen people do it, and they were making money. I wasn't, and I decided not to beg anymore.
Warabe prepared well, buying weapons in Yemen. But his piracy career wasn't a success.
We were a group of 11 guys. We went out to sea, and in our first attempt to take a boat, we failed. But the second time, we took over a ship, but we were attacked.
Warabe and his crew came under attack from international forces. 9 of his 11 crew died. He was one of 2 rescued, his bullet wounds treated by the attackers. Now he's gone back to fishing. Nothing, he says, would tempt him back to piracy.
Well, that was a snippet of our latest revisited show. You can catch the full programme here on France 24 on Sunday at 9 p.m. Paris time. To the south of France now, where the Cannes Film Festival is in full swing. Among those on the Croisette is Burundian singer-songwriter Khadja Nin, one of 9 members on this year's jury. Well, France 24 sat down with the star. Take a listen to what she had to say about her fellow jury members.
We're more or less all activists in this year's jury. Ava DuVernay, it's well known. Kate Blanchett, of course. Every member, each for a different cause, but always looking in the same direction. We fight against injustice, be it towards children, the elderly, black people, poor people. So it's quite pleasant because we all speak the same language. We are one soul.
Was Burundian singer-songwriter Khadja Nin speaking to France 24 earlier today. And finally, haunting melodies that evoke pain and longing. That's the sound of Morna, the national music of Cape Verde. It reflects a time when many Cape Verdeans were forced to leave their country in search of a better future. Morna was made famous by the late legendary diva Cesaria Evora. Today, its legacy is being kept alive by a new generation of musicians. France 24's regional correspondent Sarah Sacco reports from Santiago.
Isabel savours every moment she spends wandering around the historic centre of Praia. The Cape Verdean entrepreneur lived on the mainland for a long time, but the legendary nostalgia that binds Cape Verdeans to their islands, known as Saudade, pulled her back to the island nation.
Saudade. That's it. We miss it. We miss it all. My home, my neighbourhood, the town, a coffee I'll have nearby, my friends, the Tocatines, the Mornas, the Coladeiras, everything. We miss the whole package. It's Saudade.
A feeling which combines both joy and sadness, and that inspired the music, like the Morna, a langorious rhythm that mimics the swell of the ocean.
There you have Eugenio Tavares, one of the greatest composers of Morna, who was from the island of Brava. You have Cesario, who sang Morna.
José da Silva is a producer. His collaboration with the diva Cesaria Evora, who passed away in 2011, made Morna popular around the world.
Songwriters use the Morna a lot to talk in particular about the person that has left, the nostalgia. That we call Saudade here. There are small islands where life is difficult. People emigrated a lot in the past, and therefore everyone has had someone that left. And people wrote about that, about this Saudade.
The traditional Morna continues to be very popular today thanks to a new generation of up-and-coming Cape Verdean voices like Lucy Bella.
This is the music that belongs to us Cape Verdeans. That's why I sing Morna too. It belongs to us.
In March, Cape Verde nominated the iconic musical genre to UNESCO for Intangible World Heritage status, dedicated to preserving oral traditions, performing arts or social practices.
Some beautiful, moving melodies there for us. Well, stay with us here on France 24. Lots more news coming up.